The chandeliers hang like frozen stars above a ballroom full of tuxedos and diamonds. Amara Williams balances a silver tray in her black catering uniform. She moves between tables with quiet grace. The string quartet plays soft background music. Richard Steinberg sits at table 1. He swirls a glass of expensive wine. He leans toward his friends and says loud enough for others to hear, "These people always want handouts. They never earn anything." His friends laugh. The music stops. Steinberg stands. He grabs Amara by the wrist. The tray shakes in her hand. He pulls her through the crowd toward the auction stage. Phones come out. People record. On stage sits a violin in an open case. It is a 1747 Guarneri del Gesù, worth $3.2 million. Steinberg takes the violin. He pushes it into Amara's hands. He speaks into the microphone. "You want equality so bad. Here is your chance. Play something classical. Or admit you are just here to serve." The room laughs. More phones rise. Steinberg leans close. His voice is low, but the microphone catches every word. "When you fail up there, remember you asked for this. Your people always do." Amara's fingers shake for a moment, then they stop. She lifts the bow. One note comes out. It is pure and clear. It cuts through every laugh. The room goes silent. Every face freezes. Have you ever seen someone try to bury talent, only to watch it rise and silence an entire room? The title appears. Billionaire forces black waitress to play a $3.2 million violin as a joke. Her first note made the entire room regret ever laughing, 3 hours earlier. Amara stands in the employee break room. She ties her hair back in front of a cracked mirror. She is 28 years old. She moves with care. She has learned to walk through spaces that do not want her. Her grandmother's medicine bottles sit in her purse. They remind her why she works 3 jobs. The charity gala tonight raises money for music programs in poor neighborhoods. But the people who need those programs serve the food and clear the plates. Amara once dreamed of being on that stage, not behind it. She trained at Juilliard on full scholarship. Professors said her talent was rare. But dreams do not pay medical bills. Her grandmother needed emergency surgery. Amara sold her own violin. She left school. She learned survival. Richard Steinberg arrives 40 minutes late. Everyone waits because he can make them wait. He donates $5 million tonight. The money will go to schools that already have everything, not to the children who have nothing. Steinberg has settled lawsuits for treating talented people of color badly. He says he believes in merit, but the leaked papers tell a different story. He humiliates people until they quit. At his table, he complains all night. He sends food back again and again, not because it is wrong, but because he can. Amara brings the 3rd plate. He says loud enough for her to hear, "These people have no work ethic, always looking for handouts." Amara hears every word. She smiles. She keeps moving. Her grandmother worked 2 jobs her whole life. Amara teaches lessons, works catering, takes night shifts at a diner, but to men like Steinberg, she is just a stereotype. The auction begins. The Guarneri violin sits on stage. The auctioneer describes its history, its perfect condition, how it will help young musicians in poor communities. Amara watches from the service area. Her fingers move in the air. She plays invisible scales. The violin calls to her. She cannot answer. Steinberg watches her too. His eyes follow her like a hunter. When she refills water at his table, he stands. "Wait right there. I have an idea to test diversity in the arts." He grabs her arm. The room turns. 300 pairs of eyes watch. He announces to everyone, "We throw money at programs for underserved people. Do they even have talent? Let us find out." He pulls her to the stage. The auction stops. The representative tries to speak. Steinberg offers $10 million if she plays without embarrassing herself. But when she fails, everyone must remember merit matters more than anything else. Laughter spreads. Phones record. Amara stands under the lights. The violin feels heavy. Steinberg steps back. "Tick-tock, we do not have all night for your show." Amara looks at the violin, then at Steinberg. Her voice is steady. "I will play." The walk to center stage feels long. Every step echoes. People turn in their chairs. Phones follow her. Steinberg walks behind. He speaks to the crowd. "This will teach everyone a lesson." The representative stands nervous by the case. Steinberg says let her touch it. No excuses when she fails. Amara lifts the violin. It fits perfectly. She tunes it with care. Her posture changes, back straight. Chin rest perfect, bow held like a professional. Musicians in the audience notice. They lean forward. Steinberg sits in the front row. "Choose something simple. We do not want you trying too hard." Amara closes her eyes. She has already chosen. "This is for every person told they do not belong." She raises the bow. The first note of Bach's chaconne fills the room. It is perfect, conversations stop. The melody grows, each phrase unfolds without mistake. Steinberg's face changes in the first 5 seconds. The waitress is gone. A master stands in her place. Her tone is rich. Her fingers move with years of training. She adds jazz touches to the classical piece. The music speaks in 2 languages at once. The violin sings like it has waited for her. People forget their phones. A famous violinist lowers her glass. The Philharmonic concertmaster watches every move. Steinberg shifts in his seat. His friends look worried. This was not the plan. The final note hangs in the air. Silence lasts 8 seconds, then applause explodes. People stand. They shout. Tears fall. Steinberg stays seated. His world begins to crack, but he is not finished yet. The employee break room smells of bleach and burnt coffee. A single bulb flickers above the cracked mirror. Amara Williams stands in front of it at 6:30 in the evening. She pulls her locks into a tight bun with practiced hands. The mirror reflects a woman who looks 35 instead of 28. She opens her purse. Inside sit 3 orange prescription bottles. Her grandmother's name is on every label. The pills rattle like dice in a losing game. Amara counts them, enough for 12 more days. After that, she needs another shift at the diner. She thinks of the girl she used to be, 19. Juilliard practice room at 3 in the morning, Bach partitas under her fingers until the strings smoked. Professors stopped in the hallway to listen. One wrote in her file, "Technique flawless, soul dangerous." That girl sold her violin 2 years ago, a 200-year-old French instrument. She got $40,000. It paid the first hospital deposit. The rest came from credit cards and double shifts. Tonight she wears the black vest and white shirt of elite catering services. The gala is called Arts for All. The irony tastes like metal in her mouth. The people who write the checks will never meet the children who need the instruments. She slips the name tag over her head. AMARAW the period hides her full name. She learned long ago that Williams is easier to pronounce than her grandmother's Igbo surname. Outside the break room, the ballroom is already alive. Chandeliers drip light onto white tablecloths. The string quartet warms up with Vivaldi, safe music, music that asks no questions. Richard Steinberg arrives at 7:10, 40 minutes late. The mater rushes to open the door. Steinberg does not apologize. He wears a midnight blue tuxedo cut so sharp it could slice bread. His watch costs more than Amara's annual salary. He donated $5 million tonight. The programs that will receive the money have marble lobbies and private security. The programs that need it have cracked linoleum and padlocks on the piano. Steinberg's reputation walks in before him. Headlines scroll in Amara's mind. Tech Titan settles bias suit $22 million. Steinberg, we hire the best, period. Leaked emails show pattern of demotions for minority staff. He sits at table 1. The seat was auctioned for $25,000. His companions are venture capitalists, hedge fund princes, a senator's wife. They speak of meritocracy the way priests speak of scripture. Amara's first table is table 12. She pours water. The woman asks for still not sparkling. Amara nods. She has memorized every preference sheet. Table 1 is Steinberg's. He sends back the amuse-bouche twice. The chef remakes it each time. Steinberg tastes the third and shrugs. Acceptable. Amara approaches with the replacement. She sets the plate down. Steinberg looks up. His eyes are pale blue and cold. These people, he says to his table, loud enough for her ears. No work ethic, expect the world to hand them success. His friends chuckle. One adds, participation trophies ruined everything. Amara's hand does not shake, she has heard worse. She smiles the smile they taught her in training, professional. Invisible, she thinks of her grandmother scrubbing office floors at midnight. Of herself teaching a 7-year-old in Harlem how to hold a half-size violin with fingers too small. Of the overnight diner where the cook calls her college girl because she once mentioned Juilliard. She refills Steinberg's water. He does not look at her again. The auction stage dominates the far end of the room. Velvet drapes frame a single spotlight. Under it sits the Guarnery del Gesù in its open case. The wood glows like honey held to fire. The auctioneer's voice carries, provenance traced to 1747, played by Paganini's rival, perfect condition, starting bid 1 million. Amara circles the stage during setup. She carries folded napkins. Her fingers move against her thigh. Silent scales, G major, E minor. The positions her hands remember better than her name. She stops for 3 seconds. The violin seems to breathe. She imagines its voice. Rich, dark, capable of breaking hearts or building empires. A coworker bumps her elbow. Keep moving, girl. They're watching. She moves. Steinberg watches too. From his table he tracks her the way a cat tracks a bird with a broken wing. He sips his wine. He smiles the smile of a man who has never lost a game he rigged. The quartet finishes its set. The auctioneer thanks the musicians. The guanery waits. Amara stands at the service station. She folds a napkin into a perfect crane, muscle memory from teaching origami to bored children between scales. She looks at the violin one last time, whispers so low only the air hears. One day, the bidding climbs, 2 million. 253, the room buzzes with the thrill of ownership. Steinberg raises his paddle lazily. 3.1, the auctioneer beams. Do I hear 3-2? Steinberg lowers the paddle. He is done buying. He wants to play a different game. Amara feels his stare like ice on her neck. She turns. Their eyes meet across 50 feet of polished floor. He smiles. She knows that smile. It is the smile of every professor who said, "You're good for where you're from." Every landlord who asked for 3 months' rent up front. Every hospital billing clerk who looked at her grandmother's chart and sighed. The smile says, "I decide who belongs." Amara picks up the water pitcher. She walks toward table 1. Steinberg stands. The room shifts. 300 conversations pause mid-sentence. "Wait right there, honey." His hand closes around her elbow. The pitcher tilts. Water spills across the white cloth like a bloodstain. "I have an idea," he announces to the room. An idea that will really test this whole diversity nonsense. He pulls her forward. The crowd parts, phones rise, the spotlight finds them, the guanery waits. Amara's heart beats once, twice, then settles into the steady rhythm she used to count before recitals. She is no longer the waitress. She is the girl who once made Itzhak Perlman stop clapping to wipe his eyes. The girl who sold her future to save her past. The girl who still dreams in quarter notes and double stops. Steinberg shoves the violin into her hands. Play. The word is a command, a dare, a death sentence. Amara looks at the instrument, then at the sea of faces waiting for her to fall. She lifts the bow. The setup is complete. The trap is sprung. What happens next will cost $20 million and one man's soul. The water pitcher lies on its side at table 1. A dark stain spreads across the white linen like an accusation. Amara stands frozen. Steinberg's fingers dig into her elbow hard enough to leave half-moon bruises. The ballroom has gone quiet enough to hear the ice melt in abandoned glasses. He drags her forward. 1 step. 2. Her catering shoes click against the marble floor. Each sound echoes like a countdown. Phones rise in a wave. Red recording lights blink like predator eyes. Steinberg stops at the edge of the auction stage. The spotlight is harsh. It turns his face into a mask of sharp angles and shadows. He releases her arm but stays close. Close enough for her to smell the wine on his breath. "Ladies and gentlemen." His voice booms through the sound system without a microphone. The auctioneer steps back, hands folded, eyes down. We keep hearing that talent is everywhere, that we just need to give people a chance. Well, tonight we have a chance right here. He gestures toward Amara with theatrical flair. She stands in her wrinkled uniform. The violin case glows under the light like a sleeping animal. This young woman works for the company that serves us. She is here because of diversity initiatives, programs my donation helps fund. Laughter ripples from his table. Nervous chuckles spread outward, so let us put it to the test. Steinberg climbs the 3 steps to the stage. The wood creaks under his Italian leather shoes. He opens the case with reverence usually reserved for holy relics. The Guanery del Gesù rests on midnight blue velvet. Its curves catch the light and throw it back warmer, richer. $3.2 million donated to help children in underserved communities. Children who supposedly have the same potential as anyone else. He lifts the violin by the neck, holds it high for the room to see. Here is our test subject. He turns to Amara. "Come on up, sweetheart. Show us what all that opportunity bought us." The auctioneer clears his throat. "Mr. Steinberg, the instrument is not insured for. I will double my pledge, $10 million. If she can play one complete classical piece without embarrassing herself." Gasps, whispers, phones tilt for better angles, but when she fails, and we all know she will, Steinberg's smile is razor thin. I want every person in this room to remember one thing. Merit matters more than melanin. The laughter is louder now, crueler. It bounces off the crystal chandeliers and lands on Amara like hail. Steinberg descends 1 step, extends the violin toward her. The bow rests across his palm like a sword being offered to a condemned prisoner. Tick-tock. "We do not have all night for your little minstrel show." Amara looks at the instrument. Her hands know its weight before she touches it. She has played instruments worth less that sang like angels. She has played student violins that sounded like miracles. She steps forward. The spotlight follows. Her shadow stretches long across the stage. The auction representative hovers. His face is pale. Miss, perhaps we should. Let her touch it. Steinberg interrupts. I want no excuses when this goes exactly as expected. Amara reaches the case. She lifts the violin with both hands. The wood is warm, alive. It settles against her collarbone like it has been waiting 2 years for this moment. She tests the tuning. Pegs turn with tiny clicks. Each adjustment is precise, professional. Several musicians in the audience lean forward. Eyebrows rise, her posture transforms, shoulders roll back, neck elongates. The catering waitress disappears. In her place stands a soloist. Steinberg settles into the front row seat, arms crossed, legs spread wide. He looks like a king watching a gladiator enter the arena. Choose something simple. We would not want you attempting anything beyond your capabilities. The word drips with venom. Amara closes her eyes. The room fades. She hears her grandmother's heartbeat from the night of the collapse. She hears her jeweliered professor saying, music is not about the notes. It is about what the notes remember. She has already chosen, not something simple. Bach, Chaconne in D minor. From Partita No. 2, the Mount Everest of solo violin repertoire, 30 variations on a 4-bar theme. 14 minutes of technical hell and emotional heaven. She raises the bow. The first note emerges. It is not loud, it is not showy, it is perfect. A single G on the open string, Bach's air. The note floats through the ballroom and lands in every chest like a stone dropped in still water. Every conversation dies mid-word. The second note follows, then the third. The theme unfolds, simple at first, deceptively childlike. By the fifth variation, the room is breathless. Amara's bow moves with surgical grace. Double stops ring true. Arpeggios cascade like waterfalls. Her left hand shifts positions so fast the eye cannot follow. She is not playing the notes. She is remembering them. Every hour in the practice room, every tear when the bills came. Every night she fell asleep with rosin on her fingers and hospital smells in her hair. At variation 10, she begins to improvise. Subtle at first, a blue note here, a syncopated rhythm there. Jazz harmonies weave through Baroque architecture. The music speaks in 2 centuries at once. A famous violinist at table 7, Elena Vasquez, lowers her champagne glass, her eyes narrow. Recognition flickers. The New York Philharmonic concertmaster at table 12 stops chewing. His fork hovers. Steinberg's smirk begins to slip. By variation 20, the impossible has become undeniable. This is not a waitress faking her way through a party trick. This is a masterclass happening in real time. The final variation builds. Amara's bow attacks the strings with controlled fury. The guarnery sings. Its voice is centuries old and brand new. The last chord, a D major triad that resolves every tension in the room. The note hangs, 1 second, 2, 8 full seconds of silence. Then the dam breaks, applause thunders. People leap to their feet. Shouts of "Brava" echo from the musicians' tables. Phones are forgotten. Tears stream down faces that have seen every opera in the world but never this. Steinberg remains seated. His hands grip the armrests. Knuckles white, the ovation continues, wave after wave, but he is not finished. He stands slowly. The applause falters. Confusion spreads. Very impressive. His voice cuts through the noise like a blade. Anyone can memorize one piece with enough YouTube tutorials. Murmurs, uncertainty. Real musicians create under pressure. He reaches into his jacket, pulls out a folded sheet of music, holds it up. Mozart. Violin Concerto No. 3 in G major. First movement. Sight reading only. The room inhales, musicians exchange glances. Mozart 3 is brutal, fast passages, high shifts, ornamentation that trips professionals. Sight reading it is a conservatory nightmare. Steinberg climbs the stage again. Under the spotlight, the sheet music is clearly damaged. Coffee rings obscure measures, tears rip through staff lines. Water damage blurs ink into gray smears. Oops. He holds it higher, looks like someone was careless. But I am sure that will not matter to someone with your extensive training. The cruelty is surgical. He has created failure in advance. Several guests shift in their seats. The earlier joy sours. Amara studies the ruined pages. Missing bars, illegible notes. Whole phrases gone. Attempting this would be career suicide for a professional. She hands the pages back. I will not need those. Steinberg's eyebrows shoot up. Excuse me. Mozart 3, first movement. She adjusts the violin on her shoulder. I will play it from memory. Disbelief ripples. Playing Mozart from memory is hard. Announcing it publicly is suicide. One wrong note and the triumph becomes tragedy. Steinberg laughs, delighted. How convenient. When you stumble, we can blame the missing music. Clever. He turns to the crowd, ladies and gentlemen. Witness the delusion of someone who thinks pop song covers qualify as classical mastery. Phones rise again. The energy shifts, from wonder to bloodlust. Amara closes her eyes, tilts her head as if listening to a distant orchestra. Before I begin, her voice carries clear through the system. I want everyone to remember something about Mozart. Silence falls. He did not write music to impress rich men at parties. He wrote it to prove genius can come from places you would never expect. She finds Steinberg's eyes, holds them. This one is for every person you ever underestimated. She begins. The orchestra introduction is in her head. She plays the opening theme with playful charm. Fingers dance across strings. The melody sings. Then the technical fireworks. Runs that blur into light, trills that sparkle. She shapes every phrase with wit and warmth. Steinberg's face drains of color. This is not memory. This is ownership. She finds the humor in Mozart's melodies. The mathematics disguised as joy. Her interpretation reveals layers professionals spend decades chasing. At table 7, Alina Vasquez studies every shift, every bow change. The puzzle pieces click. The movement ends with a flourish. The final G major chord rings pure. 7 seconds of silence, then the room erupts again. Louder, fiercer. But Steinberg is already moving. He storms the stage, face red, veins bulging. Stop this charade. The applause stutters. You think we are stupid. He jabs a finger at Amara. This was planned. She has been practicing for weeks, waiting for her sob story moment. Murmurs spread. Doubt takes root. Look at her hands. Those are not Waitress hands. This is a con. A shakedown, minorities exploiting guilt for gain. Amara's catering manager appears at the back. Marcus Carter, face pale, livelihood on the line. Miss Williams, step away from the instrument. Return to work. The words hit like punches. Steinberg senses victory, back to where you belong. He leans into the microphone, the real tragedy. Talented musicians from good families lose spots to diversity cases like this. The dog whistle lands. Hashtags shift on screens. Diversity scam trends beside Violin goddess. Amara stands holding $3 million of wood. The weight suddenly unbearable. Retreat and keep her jobs. Fight and risk everything. The room waits, breath held. Then a voice cuts through. That is enough. Alina Vasquez rises, 62 years old, silver hair pinned elegantly. She walks toward the stage with the authority of someone who has played Carnegie Hall 50 times. Every eye follows. I know world-class playing when I hear it. And what we witnessed was extraordinary by any standard. Steinberg's mouth opens, closes. Furthermore, Alina reaches the stage. I know this young woman. Amara Williams was my student at Juilliard. 2019 to 2022. Full scholarship, top 5%. I wrote her recommendation letters myself. She pulls out her phone, swipes, holds up photos. Here. Sophomore recital. Here, master class with Perlman. Here, her acceptance to Vienna Philharmonic Young Artist Program, March 2022. The screen shows official letterhead, Amara's smiling face. She declined. Alina's voice softens. Her grandmother needed surgery. The family could not afford Vienna and medical bills. Gasps. The narrative flips. Dr. Jonathan Mitchell stands at table 12. I remember her audition tape. We wanted her for our fellowship. More voices, critics, musicians. Social media floods with old performance clips. Steinberg's own wife Patricia stands, holds up her phone. The Harmony Foundation, my charity. Amara has volunteered teaching violin to kids in Harlem for 2 years. For free. The final lie crumbles. Steinberg's face cycles. Rage, humiliation, calculation. This is touching, but words are cheap. If she is so good, let us end this properly. He gestures to the back. The chamber orchestra hired for the gala finale. 12 world-class players. Beethoven Violin Concerto in D major. Full orchestra, no sheet music, no rehearsal. The demand is insane. Alina protests. Richard, that is unreasonable. Even professionals. Then she should decline. Steinberg's smile returns, but let us make it interesting. My 10 million, against public admission that merit-based selection is the only fair path. No more quotas, no more handouts. If she succeeds, Alina demands I will double it, 20 million, and fund a scholarship in her name. The room buzzes. Beethoven challenge trends worldwide. The orchestra begins tuning without orders. They want this. Conductor Margaret Carter approaches. Miss Williams, coordinating without rehearsal is, I understand the risks. Amara's voice is steel, but he is not challenging me. He is challenging everyone I represent. She turns to Steinberg. When I succeed, you will sit there and listen while I prove excellence has no color, no zip code, and needs no permission. Steinberg settles back, certain he has won. Then let us make history. Amara raises the violin. Nods to the conductor. The conflict has begun. The war will be fought in music. The orchestra pit is a small island of black suits and polished wood at the back of the ballroom. 12 musicians stand under dim work lights. They have been watching the drama unfold like a live opera. Their instruments rest in cases. Sheet music for the gala finale sits untouched. Conductor Margaret Carter raises her baton once. A silent question. The players look at Amara. She nods, they open cases. Rosin dust clouds the air like incense. Steinberg sits front row center. His posture is relaxed. Legs crossed, hands folded. But his eyes burn. He has turned the evening into his coliseum. The 20 million is bait. The real prize is breaking her in public. Amara stands center stage. The guannery rests against her collarbone. She closes her eyes for 3 heartbeats. In the darkness, she hears her grandmother's voice from years ago. Play like the music owes you nothing. Then it will give you everything. She opens her eyes. The spotlight feels warmer now, less like an interrogation. More like a spotlight on opening night. Margaret counts off. 4 soft clicks of the metronome in her head. Timpani, 4 beats. The famous knock of fate that opens Beethoven's Violin Concerto in D major. The sound rolls through the ballroom like distant thunder. The orchestra enters, woodwinds first, then strings. The introduction is noble. Expansive, it fills every corner of the Metropolitan Arts Center. Amara waits. Her entrance is not until measure 45. She breathes with the music, counts in her head. Steinberg leans forward. His lips move, counting 2. Waiting for the stumble, measure 45. Amara's bow touches the string. The opening theme emerges, simple, lyric, almost childlike, but in her hands it becomes a declaration. The orchestra responds. They are professionals. They adjust to her phrasing instantly. Her tempo is slightly broader than standard, more room for emotion. They follow without hesitation. First page, flawless. Second page, the technical passages begin, octave leaps. String crossings that demand perfect intonation. Amara's fingers move like light on water. At table 7, Elena Vasquez nods slowly. She recognizes the bow arm, the wrist rotation. The way Amara uses the full length of the hair for warmth. Juilliard, her studio, her teaching, Steinberg's foot taps, impatient. The development section arrives. Beethoven throws challenges, double stops intense. High shifts to the E string. Amara meets each one. Her sound grows richer, deeper. The guannery responds like it has found its true voice after centuries. A cellist in the orchestra smiles mid-phrase. He has played this concerto with soloists who charge $50,000 a night. None have led like this. Amara begins to shape the orchestra. A slight retard here, a push forward there. She is not playing with them. She is conducting through her violin. Margaret's baton follows her lead. Social media explodes outside the ballroom. Live streams hit millions. Comments scroll faster than eyes can read. This is impossible without rehearsal. She's leading the orchestra like she wrote the damn thing. Amara Williams trending in 15 countries. Back in the room, the energy shifts. The audience is no longer watching a spectacle. They are witnessing a coronation. Steinberg stands. He cannot sit still. He paces the front row aisle. His phone buzzes, ignored. The first movement cadenza approaches, the moment where the soloist steps forward alone. Most play the standard Beethoven cadenza. Some improvise. Amara signals with a breath. The orchestra drops to silence. She begins. Not Beethoven's cadenza, not Kreisler's, something new. She quotes a spiritual, swing low, sweet chariot, woven into Beethoven's harmonic structure. The melody rises from the depths of the G string. It climbs, transforms. Becomes a conversation between a composer who fought deafness and a people who fought chains. The room leans in. A woman at table 3 begins to cry. She does not know why. Steinberg stops pacing. His face is stone. The cadenza builds. Technical fireworks, harmonics that ring like bells, left-hand pizzicato while the bow sings above. Amara's body moves with the music, hips sway slightly, shoulders roll. This is not performance, this is possession. She resolves back into Beethoven's theme. The orchestra re-enters seamlessly. They are hers now. The first movement ends. The final chord sustains. Silence. 12 seconds. Then the applause is a physical force. It shakes glasses on tables. But the concerto has 3 movements. Steinberg claps once, sarcastic, then stops. Amara does not pause. She nods to Margaret. Second movement, Larghetto, the orchestra enters pianissimo, the melody is pure song. Amara's tone becomes liquid gold. She plays phrases that seem to float outside time. Halfway through, she looks directly at Steinberg. Her eyes say, "This is what you tried to silence." He looks away first. The second movement ends in ethereal stillness. Third movement, Rondo, Allegro, the tempo is brisk, joyful, Beethoven dancing after battle. Amara attacks the opening with fire, the orchestra matches her energy. The music becomes a celebration, technical passages fly, the famous trills in the finale. Amara executes them with machine precision and human warmth. She begins to improvise again, subtle variations. Ornaments that honor the composer while claiming the music as her own. The orchestra feeds off her. Smiles break through professional masks. The principal violist laughs mid-phrase. He cannot help it. Steinberg's phone finally wins. He answers. His board chairman voiced tinny through the speaker. "Richard, the stock is tanking. Sponsors pulling out. You need to stop this." He hangs up. The finale builds. The orchestra and soloist climb together, note by note, toward the summit. Amara's final entrance. The high D that crowns the concerto. She holds it, lets it ring. Then descends in a cascade of joy. The orchestra slams the final chord. Silence. 15 seconds this time. Then the room detonates. People stand on chairs. They scream. They embrace strangers. The orchestra stands and applauds the soloist. Unprecedented. Steinberg is alone in his seat. His empire crumbles in real time. Elena Vasquez climbs the stage. Tears stream down her face. She embraces Amara, whispers, "Vienna is still waiting." Berlin, London, the world, Patricia Steinberg approaches her husband. She carries a folder, divorce papers signed. "I funded the foundation with our joint account," she says quietly. 20 million is just the beginning. Phones capture every second. Amara stands center stage, the guannery still in her hands. She looks out at the sea of faces, some crying, some transformed. She speaks into the microphone, voice steady. "This violin was donated to help children who look like me, who come from where I come from." She turns to Steinberg. "You tried to use it to prove we do not belong." She lifts the instrument. "But music does not care about your rules. It only cares if you are willing to bleed for it." "I bled, and tonight, so did you." The applause renews, louder. But the rising action is not complete. 6 weeks later. A small community center in Harlem. Faded paint. Linoleum floors. 20 children aged 6 to 12 sit in a circle. Each holds a violin, some too big, some too small. Amara kneels in front of a 7-year-old boy. His bow shakes. "Breathe," she says. "The music is inside you. Let it out." She demonstrates. A simple scale. The boy follows. His first clean note rings out. His face lights up like sunrise. Cut to a boardroom downtown. Steinberg's former company. New leadership. A black woman CEO stands at the head of the table. "We are committing 50 million to STEM programs in public schools, and we are matching every donation to the Amara Williams Foundation." Cut to a hospital room. Amara's grandmother sits up in bed. No more oxygen tubes. She watches a video on her phone. Amara's Carnegie debut announcement. Tears fall. Pride. Cut to Carnegie Hall green room. 6 months after the gala. Amara adjusts her midnight blue gown. The guannery rests in its case, now owned by the foundation. Elena enters, hands her a program, sold out. "Your grandmother is in the president's box." Amara smiles. Cut to the foundation warehouse. Hundreds of instruments. Violins, cellos, trumpets, all new, all destined for children who have never touched one. A girl from the Bronx opens a case. Her eyes widen. She lifts a quarter-size violin. Plays her first note. The sound is scratchy, but it is hers. Cut back to the ballroom. The night of the gala, moments after the final chord. Steinberg stands. He tries one last time. This changes nothing. Diversity quotas still. His voice is drowned out. The orchestra begins to play again. Not Beethoven, a simple arrangement of amazing grace, led by Amara. The room joins, voices rise, some off-key, some perfect. All human. Steinberg walks out. Alone, the cameras follow. His empire falls in headlines the next morning. Board ousts Steinberg in emergency vote. Tech giant commits to full diversity overhaul. Amara Williams Foundation raises 100 million in 48 hours. But the true rising action is quieter. A boy in the Bronx practices at 6 a.m. before school. A girl in Harlem writes her first composition. A grandmother dances in her kitchen to her granddaughter's recording. Amara stands on the Carnegie stage, 6 months later. The lights dim. She raises the bow. The rising action complete. The climax awaits. The final chord of Beethoven's Violin Concerto still rings in the Metropolitan Arts Center ballroom. The sound waves bounce off crystal chandeliers and settle into every heart like dust after an explosion. 15 seconds of absolute silence. Then the eruption. The orchestra members stand first. 12 world-class players who have performed with the greatest soloists alive. They applaud the young woman in the wrinkled catering uniform. Their faces are wet, their bows forgotten. The audience follows, chairs scrape, tables rattle. People climb onto seats. They scream, they whistle, they embrace strangers. The sound is not applause, it is surrender. Amara stands center stage, the Guaneri del Gesù cradled in her left arm. Her right hand still holds the bow. Rosin dust floats in the spotlight like gold particles. She does not smile, not yet. She looks at Richard Steinberg. He is the only person still seated. Front row center. His tuxedo jacket unbuttoned, tie loosened. Face the color of old ash. His hands grip the armrest so hard the wood creaks. His empire is collapsing in real time. Phones capture everything. Live streams hit 50 million views. Comments flood screens worldwide. She just led a pickup orchestra through Beethoven without a single rehearsal. This is the greatest performance I've ever seen. Amara Williams is the new standard. Elena Vasquez climbs the 3 stage steps. 62 years old. Silver hair glowing under the lights. Tears carve clean lines through her makeup. She reaches Amara. Wraps her in an embrace that speaks of lost years and found prodigies. Welcome home, my girl. Vienna never closed its doors. Amara's eyes close. She allows one tear. It falls onto Elena's shoulder. The applause continues. Wave after wave. But the climax is not the music. It is what happens next. Patricia Steinberg stands at table 1. She is 50 years old, elegant in emerald silk. Her hands tremble as she opens a leather folder. Inside are documents, notarized, signed in blue ink. She walks the aisle. Every eye follows. The applause softens to a hush. She stops in front of her husband, Richard. He looks up. For the first time tonight, he is small. She places the folder on his lap. Divorce papers, I filed this morning. The foundation will receive our joint assets, including the 20 million you promised. Gasps ripple. Phones zoom in. I have been silent for 25 years while you built your kingdom on other people's backs. Tonight I watched you try to destroy a miracle. I will not be married to that man anymore. Steinberg opens his mouth. No sound comes. Patricia turns to Amara. The Harmony Foundation is yours to lead if you want it. We will match every donation. She steps back, joins the standing ovation. The room roars louder. Steinberg stands. His legs shake. He tries to speak into the nearest phone mic. This is rigged. His voice cracks. No one listens. The orchestra begins to play again, unprompted. Margaret Carter raises her hands. They launch into a soft arrangement of lift every voice and sing. The Black National Anthem. Amara joins on violin. Her melody soars above. Half the room knows the words. They sing. The other half learns in real time. Steinberg stumbles down the aisle. Security parts for him. He reaches the exit, pushes through the doors. Outside, flashbulbs, reporters. Mr. Steinberg, is it true you're being ousted? He says nothing, gets into a waiting car. The door slams. Inside the ballroom, the song ends. Silence again. Then Amara speaks. Her voice clear through the sound system. This violin was meant for children who have never touched one. Children told their dreams are too big for their zip codes. She lifts the Guaneri. Tonight it spoke for them. And it said we belong. The applause renews, fiercer, but the true turning point is quieter. Backstage, 10 minutes later. Amara sits on a folding chair, the violin in its case beside her. Her hands shake now. Adrenaline crash. Marcus Carter approaches, her catering boss. Amara, I the company, we can't. She stands. I quit, Marcus, but take the contract for the foundation. They'll need events. He nods, tears in his eyes. Thank you for showing them. She smiles for the first time. Elena enters with a contract. New York Philharmonic, principal guest soloist. Starting salary $250,000 plus tour. Sign here. Amara looks at the pen, then at the violin case. Not yet. She walks back to the ballroom. The crowd parts. She finds her grandmother, brought in through a side door, sitting in a wheelchair. Oxygen tank gone, face glowing. Grandma, the old woman stands slowly. They embrace. You played like your mama used to sing in church. Amara laughs through tears. The auctioneer approaches. Nervous, Miss Williams, the donor, the anonymous one who gave the violin, they want to meet you. An elderly woman steps forward. 90 years old, frail, assisted by a nurse. She takes Amara's hands. My husband played that Guaneri in 1955. Carnegie debut. He was the first black man to solo with the Philharmonic. They told him he didn't belong either. She presses a small gold locket into Amara's palm. Inside. A photo of a young black violinist in tails. He would have loved this night. The turning point crystallizes, not the applause, not the money, the passing of the torch from one who was silenced to one who refused, cut to dawn the next day. Steinberg's mansion, empty, moving trucks outside. His phone rings, board chairman, it's over, Richard, resign by noon or we vote you out. He sits at his desk, stares at a framed photo. Him shaking hands with presidents. He opens a drawer. Takes out a bottle, pills, then stops, looks at his reflection, sees the man he became, cut to Amara's apartment. Harlem. 4 a.m. She sits at the kitchen table. Grandmother asleep in the next room. She opens the locket. Studies the photo. Then opens her laptop. Types an email. To Vienna Philharmonic Young Artists Program Subject, accepting the 2022 invitation body, better late than never. She hits send. Cut to the foundation office. 1 month later. Walls being painted, instruments arriving in crates. Children line up, first day of lessons, a boy from the Bronx, same one who played the scratchy note. He lifts his new violin, plays a clean open string. Amara kneels, that's it. Now make it sing. He does. Cut to Carnegie Hall, 6 months later. Green room, mirror lights. Amara in midnight blue gown, the guanery in hand. Alina adjusts her shoulder strap. Nervous, terrified, Amara says, good, that means you care. The stage manager knocks, 2 minutes. Amara kisses the wood of the violin. This one's for the ones who never got the stage. She walks out. The hall is sold out, 3,000 seats. Her grandmother in the president's box. Wearing pearls Amara bought with her first check. The orchestra tunes. Margaret Carter raises her baton. The 4 timpani knocks. Amara enters, the same concerto, but this time rehearsed, polished. Elevated, she plays the spiritual cadenza again. The audience knows it now. They hum along softly. The final high D, she holds it, lets it ring until the rafters vibrate, then descends. The orchestra slams the final chord. The hall erupts, but the true climax is the standing ovation that lasts 23 minutes. People refuse to leave. They chant her name. Amare, Amare, she bows, once, twice. Then lifts the violin, plays an encore, unannounced. Bach Chaconne, the same piece that started it all, but slower, deeper. Every variation a story of sacrifice, of survival, of triumph when the final note fades. The hall is silent for 30 seconds. Then the lights come up. People wipe tears, they file out changed. Cut to the lobby, a young black girl, 10 years old, holds her mother's hand. Mommy, can I play violin? The mother kneels. Yes, baby. The world just made room. Cut to Steinberg. His new apartment, small, anonymous. He watches the Carnegie broadcast on a laptop. The chat scrolls, Queen, legend, justice. He closes the lid, opens a notebook, writes one line, I was wrong, cut to the foundation. 1 year later. Hundreds of children, orchestras forming. A girl conducts her first piece. A boy wins his first competition. Amara watches from the back, smiles. The turning point is complete, not in the ballroom, not in the divorce papers. Not in the headlines, in the quiet moments, when a child believes, when a system bends, when excellence forces the world to rewrite its rules. The climax ends with Amara on the Carnegie stage, alone under the spotlight. She raises the bow. One last note, pure, perfect. It hangs in the air, and the world, finally, listens. 6 months have passed since the night the Metropolitan Arts Center became a battlefield of bows and prejudice. The ballroom is quiet now. The chandeliers are dark. The tables are folded and stacked in storage. Only the stage remembers. Amara Williams stands in the wings of Carnegie Hall. Midnight blue silk gown skims the floor. The Guarnery del Gesù rests in its open case on a velvet stool. The wood still carries the faint scent of rosin from the gala. She runs a finger along the scroll. Whispers, thank you for holding the truth. Her grandmother sits in the president's box. 83 years old. No oxygen tank, no wheelchair. She wears a corsage of white roses. Amara picked them from the garden behind their new brownstone in Harlem. The one bought with the first foundation check. The house lights dim. 3,000 seats fill the hush. The program reads AMARAWLLAMS. Violin, New York Philharmonic. Beethoven Violin Concerto in D major. Margaret Carter raises her baton. The 4 timpani knocks echo. Amara steps into the light. The orchestra enters. She waits, counts. Enters on measure 45, the same theme that silenced a billionaire, but tonight it is different, rehearsed. Polished, elevated by months of preparation. She plays the spiritual cadenza again. The audience knows it now. They hum the undertones, a quiet chorus across centuries. The final high D rings, descends. The orchestra slams the chord. The hall erupts. 23 minutes of standing ovation. People refuse to leave. They chant her name until their voices crack. She bows, lifts the violin, plays the Bach chaconne as encore, slower, deeper. Every variation a chapter of the story. When the last note fades, 30 seconds of silence. Then the lights rise, people file out transformed. In the lobby, a 10-year-old black girl tugs her mother's sleeve. "Mommy, that was me up there." One day, the mother kneels. "Yes, baby, the world just made room, backstage." Elena Vasquez waits with champagne, non-alcoholic. Vienna called, they want you for New Year's. Berlin, London, Tokyo, pick your poison. Amara laughs first. The kids, the Amara Williams Foundation has grown, a converted warehouse in the South Bronx. Walls painted sky blue. Hundreds of instruments line the shelves. Violins, cellos, trumpets, flutes, all new, all free. Children arrive by yellow bus. Some from shelters, some from projects, some from homes where dinner is a question mark. A boy from the gala night, the one with the scratchy note, now 12. He plays second chair in the youth orchestra. His mother watches from the doorway, tears in her eyes. Amara kneels. "How's the Mendelssohn?" He grins, almost ready for you to hear. She ruffles his hair. "Play it like it owes you nothing." The foundation has raised $120 million. Steinberg's 20 was the seed. Donations poured in after the videos hit 300 million views. Corporations matched. Individuals gave $5 at a time. The guanery belongs to the foundation now. It tour schools. Children touch it, play one note, feel history in their small hands. Richard Steinberg lives in a one-bedroom in Midtown, rent-controlled. He sold the mansion, the jet, the watches. His days are court dates and depositions. The board ousted him, new leadership. A black woman CEO, she renamed the diversity program the Amara Initiative. Steinberg walks to a diner every morning, orders coffee, black, reads the arts section. Today's headline: AMARAWILLIMS debut SELLS out CARNEGI. Again, he folds the paper, leaves a $5 tip. His notebook sits on the table. The one line has grown. "I was wrong. I built walls instead of bridges. I measured people by my fear." Forgiveness is not mine to give, but change is. He volunteers at a senior center, teaches basic coding to grandmothers. One tells him about her granddaughter learning violin through the foundation. He smiles, small, real. Patricia Steinberg runs the Harmony Foundation full-time. She travels to schools, hands out instruments. Her divorce finalized quietly. She kept the name for the work. She visits Amara's grandmother every Sunday. They drink tea, talk about recipes and recitals. Marcus Carter's catering company thrives. He specializes in inclusion events. Black tie galas where the staff eats with. The guests, he catered Amara's Carnegie after-party. No uniforms, just family. The Vienna Philharmonic kept the invitation open. Amara accepted. She debuts there in spring, but first, home, a community concert in Harlem, free. Outdoor stage on 125th Street. Thousands gather, folding chairs, blankets on grass, kids on shoulders. Amara walks out in jeans and a foundation t-shirt, the guanery over her shoulder. She speaks into the mic. "This is where I learned to listen. In church basements, on fire escapes. With a half-size violin my grandma bought at a pawn shop. Tonight we play for the block, for the ancestors, for the kids who will sleep with rosin on their fingers." The youth orchestra joins her. 50 children, ages 6 to 18. They play a medley, Bach to Beyoncé, spirituals to salsa. The crowd sings, dances, a girl in the front row, the 10-year-old from Carnegie Lobby. Holds a tiny violin, her mother beside her. Amara sees her, beckons, "Come up." The girl climbs the stage, legs shaking. Amara kneels, places the guanery in her hands, one note. The girl draws the bow, a clean open. The crowd cheers like it's Carnegie. Amara whispers, "That's the sound of doors opening." The resolution spreads. Music schools report record applications from underrepresented communities. Corporations audit hiring practices. Promote from within. Headlines shift, from scandal to celebration. AMARAWILLIMS Foundation hits 200 million. First graduates accepted to JUILLIARD. SDNBRGFUNDS Anonymous SCHOLARSHIPS. Amara's grandmother dances at the Harlem concert. Slow steps, but hers, she tells reporters, "My baby sold her dreams to save me. Tonight the dreams came back with interest." 1 year later, the foundation dedicates a new wing. The Elena Vasquez studio. Elena cuts the ribbon, Amara beside her. Inside, practice rooms, recording studio, therapy space for kids who carry trauma in their bow holds, a plaque on the wall. For every child told they do not belong, this room says, "Play louder." Amara stands alone in the studio after the ceremony. She lifts the guanery, plays a soft lullaby, the one her mother sang. The notes fill the space. She thinks of the gala, the sneer, the ruined sheet music. She smiles. The resolution is not revenge. It is rooms like this, children like that girl, notes that travel farther than any insult. She closes the case, walks out into the hallway. A boy waits, violin too big for him. Miss Amara, can you listen? She sits on the floor, cross-legged. Always he plays, scaly, but determined. She nods. Again, slower, let the string sing before you leave it. He tries, better, she claps, that's it. The world is listening now. The resolution complete, not in headlines, not in millions. In the quiet moment when a child believes. And the music, finally, carries them home. The lights in Carnegie Hall fade to black. The final echo of Amara's bow lingers like a promise kept. Voice soft but unbreakable. They handed her a $3 million violin and called it a joke. They told her to play or admit she did not belong. She played, and the joke died on the first note. Excellence is not a gift from the gatekeepers. It is a fire that burns in places they never look. In cramped break rooms. In hospital waiting areas at 3 a.m. in the hands of a grandmother scrubbing floors so her granddaughter can hold a half-size violin. Amara did not win because she was louder. She won because she refused to let their measurement define her worth. Talent does not ask for permission. It does not wait for a seat at the table. It builds its own stage. One perfect note at a time. Richard Steinberg thought he was teaching a lesson about merit. He learned the real one. When you try to bury a queen with your prejudice, you only hand her the shovel to dig your grave. But this story is not about his fall. It is about every child who watched that video. Every girl in the Bronx who picked up a violin for the first time. Every boy in Harlem who now practices before sunrise. It is about the rooms that opened. The scholarships that appeared, the systems that bent. Not because someone felt guilty, but because someone refused to be invisible. Excellence is the ultimate rebellion. It does not shout, it sings. And when the world finally hears it, empires crumble, doors swing wide, and little black and brown kids everywhere fall asleep dreaming in quarter notes. Never let anyone hand you their broken ruler to measure your dreams. Your worth is not up for auction. Your talent is not a diversity checkbox. It is the revolution they never saw coming. Amara Williams did not just play a violin that night. She played the soundtrack to a new world, where the stage has room for everyone willing to bleed for the music. If this story touched the fire in your soul, share it with someone who has been told they do not belong. Tell them about the waitress who silenced a billionaire with Bach. Tell them the guanery still sings in schools across the city. Tell them the next time someone hands them an impossible challenge, they might just pick up the bow and change everything, because sometimes the most powerful answer to hate is not anger, it is art, and art, once unleashed, can never be silenced again, fade out on the Carnegie stage. Empty now, spotlight still warm. A single rosin particle floats in the beam, it catches the light, and for a moment it looks like a star. End.